everyone. In this episode, we're going to talk with Alexandra Weber from Titan Cards. Hi, Alexandra. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast with us. We can't wait to get to know you a little bit. Welcome
Hey,
aboard.
thank you so much for having me.
Go ahead.
Can you tell us perhaps a little bit about how you first got into collecting, your first franchise and where the magic started?
Yeah, so when I was in college, I had gotten back into playing trading card games. I got back into playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And I was just really going around, local shops. And I also had a part-time job at a comic book store. And one day when it was a bit slow, I was looking through the previews magazine. I saw this advertisement for Star Wars Masterwork. And I was like, whoa, I love Star Wars. I wanted to learn more about that. So when I went to the card shop, I was asking about it, like, what is this product? I saw this advertisement for it. And that's where I learned about what an autograph card was, what a sketch card was. And that's how actually, I know it was expensive, but that's Masterwork that year was my first ever box that I purchased. And I didn't pull a sketch myself. I pulled a couple autographs, but around that point, I'd started actually working at the card shop that I went to, which is where I am now at Titan. And my boss had opened up like a case or two, I think, of that product. And I was like, it was actually a wooden Kylo Ren sketch card by Carlos Caballero. And I was like, this is really cool. How do they draw on like this tiny little, piece of cardboard? And I fell in love from there looking at all the different cards. And because one thing I like about cards is the artwork themselves and seeing all the different images. And what we see with a lot of, regular card sets is they tend to have some repeat pictures, but with sketch cards, it opens up a whole world where artists just get to really draw what speaks to them. And I get to see a wide range of styles and stuff like that. And I really enjoy it. It's just so cool to see, what parts of Star Wars people particularly enjoy. And that's not the same for everybody. Some people are into the vehicles, some people are into the creatures, some are Jedi, some are Sith people. So I don't know, it just spreads, what people like about Star Wars to everyone and provides a lot of options for all kinds of collectors.
What's your favorite kind of sketch cards? Like do you have a favorite like topic, subject, or like, do you like the vehicles or the people, or do you like it all? Or
I tend to gravitate more towards prequel themed cards, and then especially battle droids. I have a really large battle droid collection just because I think they're hilarious. The regular battle droids, not the super droids or droidicas, like the funny ones that always get torn up in the Clone Wars. Because I just love them. And even though they're just machines, I feel like they're oddly expressive. So I just enjoy those. And then I'm also a pretty big Padme collector, and she has a lot of amazing outfits and just so many Padme sketch cards just look so beautiful with, all of her details. So I enjoy those a lot as well.
The fun thing about drawing Padme is if you don't get her eyebrows right, it looks nothing like her. You've got to get them absolutely spot on, haven't you? I've done so many pictures of her where I'm like, what is wrong? And then you realize it's the eyebrows.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, her eyebrows really make her her character kind of thing.
Can you tell us a little bit about the YouTube channel and how that came to start that?
Yeah, so when we were here at the shop a couple years ago, my boss had tried doing some like YouTube channels with like some of his friends and just kind of wanting to spread our name as a card shop. Because I've been here now in July. It'll be going on 5 years, but my boss has owned the shop for a couple years prior to that. But it still seemed like people would come and be like, I didn't know that you guys were here. And it's like, we've been here for 5+ years. So at that point, of course, it wasn't that long, but we just wanted to spread the name. And then, of course, with all the lockdowns happening, that's when we started opening boxes on video for other people, since we weren't able to really move product locally because we were closed. So it just kind of grew from there. I can't believe the Titan Cards channel is as large as it is. We just hit 32,000 subscribers like about a week ago.
Congratulations.
And, I really enjoy it because we used to open some product for the shop for singles, but I didn't get to open all of it. But since I'm the one that does the channel, now I get to open the majority of stuff. So it's really fun, getting to open, especially a lot of Star Wars. I'm like, yes, I can't wait to see what we pulled today. So it's a lot of fun. I get to check out a lot of stuff that I wouldn't be able to if the channel didn't exist. just because I would have to share with my boss in the opening because he really enjoys it too. It's always fun checking out new products. So that's how the channel started before opening boxes for people was just usually when stuff comes out, we're curious to try it out. So we'd open at least one box for singles for the shop just because we wanted to open it with the excuse that we're familiarizing ourselves with the product. But so we figured, hey, may as well record it and share it. People might enjoy it. People learn who we are. And that's how it started.
Awesome. So can you tell us a little bit about Titan Cards? Is it a franchise or just the one shop?
Titan Cards is just the one shop. Before my boss bought it he used to be a customer at the shop, and then an older gentleman had it, but he just wanted to retire. So he had sold it and he just needed some part-time help is how it started, with sorting, especially with trading card games, different rarities and people asking for singles to build their decks and whatnot. It's crazy how everything is cards, but the difference between a TCG and like a collectible card is it's crazy. How the difference.
So many followers. Has he ever thought about maybe getting his own sketch cards done?
He has gotten some commissions.
Out of what you do there, if you know what I mean.
I'm sorry, you cut out a little bit. Could you repeat that, please?
I was saying if you'd ever thought about doing your own Titan card sets, or if that was just too far out of what you usually do, because obviously you're selling products all day, and
right.
Obviously that's another big extra area. But I just think it'd be pretty cool if you had Titan cards on the back of a sketch card, and that'd be awesome.
Actually, for last year, for the anniversary of the channel, it was a little bit later, but actually a community member, one of our fans named Steven, actually made like a commemorative deck of cards about moments from the channel. And he made these blank cards because sometimes people have asked me to like draw little things. I'm not an artist, but it's fun if someone requests, like, especially it has been for some reason a lot of X-Men characters is the request that I get. And then I draw like Pokemon and stuff sometimes. So since people had requested on like some cheaper cards for me to doodle on them, Steven had actually made sketch card blanks that's for me to include when people request for me to do little sketches to make those.
That's
so
really
I don't
awesome.
do it very often, but they're really cool.
That is super awesome. Love that.
Would love to see some of them. Actually, you should send some if you have some samples or something, and I can include it in the show notes or something. That'd be awesome to see.
Sure. Yeah, I have. They're not like regular sketch card stock, but they're a little bit waxy, but I try to make it work. I can definitely send some up to you. I'm trying to see. I think they're over in the corner, but I don't know where I put them. I'd have to dig around a little bit. Because we're moving a little bit, so it's very disorganized in here at the moment.
Has the pandemic, well, you were talking about that a minute ago, that of course the shop was closed and everything. How did you manage to stay open during the pandemic, or did you have to like really restructure everything?
We really had to expand our online business. So we had started selling, because we were allowed to be open for just curbside pickup, so people could like call and we'd run it out to their car. But we really needed to reach a wider audience. So that's why we started doing the boxes online. So that helped with the sealed product that we had in store. Also really got more into listing a lot of our cards on eBay, because usually we would put, when a set comes out, the singles that we had, but we keep a lot for like in store and like the showcases and whatnot, but which we still do have, like a display or two in the shop, but most of it does now go online. That way anyone around the world can pick it up rather than just people here in Florida. So we really had to move more online to reach more people to help stay open.
So as a shop, if somebody was coming to you with a product, what would you be looking for to stock that product in your shop? Would it be previous sales, just the look of the product, that kind of thing?
Right. So for when we look, especially with non-sports products, because I do like a lot of Star Wars, but I don't have a lot of time to branch out into other things. So there's a lot of stuff I'm not particularly familiar with, but I do try to float around, like, especially on YouTube. It's easy to ask, hey guys, we saw this new solicit for, I like Doctor Who, but the new Rittenhouse Doctor Who set's coming up. It's like, hey guys, I'm excited for that. Are you excited for that? And, gauge interest that way on how much we should order and things like that. Or also Rittenhouse and announced the new Lost in Space set, which I hadn't heard of, but I was able to talk to my boss and he was like, oh, I like that show. So that's how we're able to get into that. With sports, it gets a little bit more difficult because certain companies hold the licenses to like being able to use the actual team names. And then other people can make the product, but they have to like Photoshop out the logos and the jerseys and everything. So that becomes more of a just looking at the design and who they manage to advertise having signing for the product. But that one we get to be a bit more picky than with non-sports, just
Okay.
because sometimes it's harder to sell the unlicensed products. So that's more of a combination of price points and design versus just, oh, it's football, add to cart. You have to really be picky with the not Panini products. And for other sports, that works as well.
That's really interesting to hear the difference between the sports cards and the non-sports and how you have to approach that, even when you're trying to, in the end, you're marketing their product, but you're limited in how you can market it, aren't you?
Right. Yeah,
That's
just because people tend, especially for the sports, to, if you buy a card, you want to have, your favorite player, you want to see the team that you support on it. So, like for baseball, Tops at the moment having the license for baseball say Tampa Bay Rays, but Panini baseball cards will just say Tampa Bay. They can't say the Rays. So if you're a big fan of the Rays, you want to see, the sunburst logo, you want to see the team name on your card. It's awkward to have a card without that on it. It feels like something's missing. So that's
okay.
why that is more, people tend to go towards the MLB or NBA, NFL licensed products as compared to the usually much more affordable options. But then also with that, people don't put as much value into stuff like that sometimes. Like if you have a Tom Brady autograph on an Onyx product, it's a lot cheaper than on a Panini product because you're not having him in his team jersey, even though it's essentially the same thing. Tom Brady signed it. So some people don't mind. And that's why we do still carry some stuff like that on occasion, but people tend to be more picky with stuff like that.
So you've really become you're probably the one who's taking care of the YouTubes. Well, yeah, for the store. You're really in the trading now. You really are basically a card trader. Do you do anything else in life, or is cards your life?
Mainly work is just everything that I have going on, but I've tried to expand. Like I have my own YouTube channel where I do show off some of my cards, but also some other stuff that I collect, like figures. Recently, I've gotten into these little squishmallow stuffed animals because they came with cards, and I was like, I have an excuse to buy more stuffed animals. But just sharing more of my collectibles in a way that's, I've gotten used to using YouTube, and I like just sharing. People be like, this is cool. What do you guys think? So I've kind of expanded into that, but it is mainly everything to do with the shop, the YouTube channel, all of, shipping. And, since we expanded more into the online business, listing cards online, packing everything up with orders and, interacting with customers and stuff like that. It takes a lot more time than one would expect, but it's fun because I get to have the consistency of like every day I know what I'm going to be doing, but I get to do it with different cards. So it's still fun. It's still new, exciting every day. So it's a really good balance for me.
So you're
It's
an
an awesome job. Like so much better than just working in any old regular shop. You get to get involved in the card sets and do your channel and meet people with similar interests. And it just sounds brilliant. Sorry, Ingrid, go on.
No. I was just thinking that's like an ideal job. Every day is not the same. I thought maybe perhaps you were like had a double life or something. You have your, you work in the cards, and then maybe something else. But you are really. So would you want? Are you happy with what you do? You must obviously like it a lot. Would you want to do something else?
I mean, I do enjoy what I do. I'm always wondering, like, where is it going to go? I don't know if this, YouTube channel is going to, because some YouTube channels can get really large if I'm going to in the future switch to like full time, like streaming on YouTube. And then we have to like have someone else come in to do all the shipping, because when we do the box openings, I record the video, I edit the video, upload it, take care of all that stuff. I also pack everything up and, TCG player for like the things like Magic, Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, eBay for all the sports cards and such. It's a lot of time consuming behind the scenes. So I'm always wondering, am I going to be more of YouTube? Am I going to be more customer service oriented with, messaging people and stuff like that? Or just, other aspects of running a card shop. I'm not sure which direction I'm going to get pulled in, if it's going to just keep being all the directions, if something's going to be more popular, if cards in like 2 years, no one's going to care and I got to find a different job. I don't think that's going to happen, but I always see people saying everything's a bubble, prices are fake, no one wants it. And I'm like, I want these cards. I don't know. I don't know about y'all, but I want cards. Whenever I see people saying that, things are, stuff is crazy expensive, but I've noticed with people staying at home, just browsing online, learning about cards, I still get people saying, I didn't know Star Wars cards existed until I found your channel. And I'm just like, for me, that's how I first got into collectible cards. I'm like, how did you not know? But a lot of eyes are coming to the hobby. There are some people that just want to do it as an investment vehicle. And then there's people that are just like, I think this is really neat. I just want to get some for myself. So I think time will tell with that regard and whether I move on to something else in the future, but I am very content to keep doing this.
Hopefully
How,
shipping.
In the future.
sorry, how long would you say it takes you to make a video start to finish? Is it like, will it take you all day to do one?
Typically not. For like yesterday, I opened up a couple of like WWE boxes, a new baseball product that came out. If it's a box with a lot of packs, it takes longer just by virtue of how long it takes to open. And then the longer the video is, the longer it takes to process and upload and stuff like that. But just because of the way I do the videos, everything's just one take. So sometimes, if I stumble, I give myself a little bit, like I'll start, if I don't like my intro, I'll start over. But once the shrink wrap on the box is cut, that's it. It's out of my hands. I got to make it work. But I've been trying to learn like some more editing tricks every now and then. I put in like, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna crack a joke at the beginning. I'm gonna zoom in and then make a funny face or something like that. But otherwise, the actual video creation is just, it's pretty straightforward. I feel like I should be doing more because I see a lot of like cool tricks that other channels will do, but just with everything else, I try to work on, honing my skills with video creation, but
I would
it's
imagine
a work in progress. Eventually, I think I'll have cool, fancy videos like some other channels, but for now, this works. People like it, so.
I would imagine that people go to watch you for the cards mostly. Of course, I'm sure they enjoy you as a YouTuber, but they're there to see the cards and see the unboxing, not the fancy effects. That would be my guess anyway. If that's what I was looking for, that's what I would see. Well, I do watch YouTube. I don't watch the channel for all the bleeps and bloops and all that stuff. No, it's for the thing I went there for. So
Right.
I think so. You're an entrepreneur, actually.
Extremely professional. I love it. I think you've got
Thank you.
working really, really well the way you do it. Yeah, definitely. So we've spoken about where you might go in the future, and you're just not sure where that's going to go. And you're looking forward to Doctor Who and what was the other one?
Another set coming, I think, later this year will be the Lost in Space. I don't know much about that, but the way the product is built, it's like 8 autographs a box, and like that's it. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Reminds me of some higher end sports products where it's just like one hit per box. So that'll be interesting. Of course, Star Wars, all the sets coming out. There's a lot of really cool announcements for this year. Like the new Star Wars Finest, new Star Wars Chrome Black, which I don't think we've seen that before. I've interacted with Chrome
Speak
Black
a little
baseball.
bit about the Star Wars Chrome Black. I'd like to know a little more about that. I have not heard about it.
It was announced at the Topps Industry Conference, and then I don't know if it was supposed to be shared, but every time there's the Topps Industry, there's always like a couple days later, someone has like a picture of like the PowerPoint slide that Topps puts out with all their Star Wars announcements. And it's interesting because Chrome Black baseball is pretty expensive. It has one autograph and then like 2 base cards and a numbered card per box, and that's it. But the announcement for Star Wars, it said like 1 autograph per case. So I think it's going to be a lot different than what we're used to seeing with baseball. I don't know if it's going to be more like a regular Chrome set, but just in the Chrome Black style. I'm excited to learn more about that. Are we going to get sketch cards and something like that? Because we don't get a lot of baseball products with sketch cards. There are every now and then Topps flagship Series 1, Series 2 update will have very, very few sketch cards, super hard to pull, but the average baseball product does not. So I'm curious to see how Topps brings a sports style product into non-sports, and if they can keep what I would consider like the quintessential elements of Star Wars products, sketch cards, and that's really what I love to see. So
I know.
It's interesting to see where they're going to go, because they've actually swapped hands recently, haven't they? Tops. They've been having a big shift around, and I mean, I know we've all resubmitted our work recently, haven't we?
Yeah.
To see if we're still on the list. So I think they are juggling things around. It will be interesting to see what happens going forward, definitely.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see what happens with that. Like Lindsay just said, we have to resubmit our work to be approved by Lucasfilm again. So that'll be interesting to see if we still stay on the list or not. And then what comes out, of course, Star Wars Finest. There have been Chrome sets in the past that had sketch cards. I know I've done one set anyway. But the Chrome Black, I've never heard. And your point on sketch cards with like baseball, for instance, well, we just talked to Angel Avilés this week, and he works on Topps baseball sets as sketch cards. And even he was saying, they're not really all that many. I don't know why there would not be that many sketch cards with sports, but they just don't ever really seem to be. I think there was one company, Leaf, I think, that had hockey cards and they had sketch cards. And that's all I've ever heard of. So that's kind of interesting. You have an awesome collection behind you. For those who are just listening to the audio, you can't see this. I highly suggest you go see the video, but it's like, oh my God, there's so much stuff behind you. Can you share a little bit what you got behind there and what you like to collect?
What I have behind me right now actually is like a lot of Pokemon stuffed animals. I like trying to theme the shelf, like whether it's like a big opening coming up, I like to have stuff out. Like this Pokemon here was like on the box art for the most recent set, so that's why I dug out all my little Arceus plushies.
Adorable.
But I like to try and decorate for holidays and just put stuff on display. Just sometimes I like just sneaking cards into the background, see if people notice, just as like little Easter eggs. But also have some like boxes, just used to have actually the taller shelf that's over here used to just be what was behind me. And then when I moved into this area, I got the bigger shelf. So like having boxes on display. So when people pop into the live streams, they know like what product we have in stock. Now that has been covered up by like my assorted collectibles for the most part. But, I have some Funko Pops, some hockey related things because hockey's my favorite sport. One of my favorite Pokemon on display, and not so much in terms of cards at the moment, aside from sealed product, but occasionally I will put just up some sketches. I'm hoping for future Star Wars releases to get like an interview with an artist series going, where I talk to an artist that's like on the sets and what their experience like was working. So hopefully I can get that going. It's just unfortunately release dates aren't solid, so it's hard to plan this stuff in advance. But I'd like to put like different sketches from the different artists I talked to in the background as well. I think that'd be fun.
We've all been waiting for Masterworks 2021 for so long. I like that Masterworks sketch card stock. You can't help but do an excellent job on it. It's that good. And it allows you to just do so much with it in a short amount of time, doesn't it? So I'm always very excited to see those come out. They're always the best cards, I think.
So what kind of cards, like as how would I say this, as an entrepreneur and part of a trading card store, what kind of cards does your store like to see? Do you like to see sets that have binders? Do you like to see sets that are like big, have a lot of cards in them, or are difficult to find? What kind of sets does your store like?
We like sets that I would say are a good size. I'm not usually a fan of sets that are like really huge, just because there ends up being a lot of base cards and not so much more fun cards to look for. Like I'm not a big fan of like the Topps baseball jumbo boxes, just because there's 46 cards per pack, and that to me is just too much. A lot of bigger sets like that, stuff ends up losing and not being losing value, not being as collectible, just because you are getting what some people would perceive a lot of junk per pack. So when stuff has a balance, like usually like the 100 card sets, I tend to like, which a lot of Star Wars sets do fit into that. It's a good amount. You get a good range of imagery, but not too much. Usually need just like a box or two to make a base set. And then you get to see a lot of cool parallels. I like the sets with sketch cards because that is what I collect, mainly sketch cards and printing plates. So I have a love-hate relationship with chrome sets because chrome sets are pretty, but tend to not have printing plates. And it's like, but they also have really good sketch cards. So it's like, ah, man, I like having the best of both worlds, but it doesn't always work out like that.
You're the
But
only person who has mentioned printing plates to me. That's interesting. You like to collect them, eh?
yeah, I think they're cool. When I first saw them, I was like, this is weird. What even is this? And it's like, oh, that's the plate used to make the rest of the cards. I'm like, interesting.
Lindsay,
I find it
yeah.
cool, like to try and see if I can have the whole range because some of the plates don't really look like the cards since they're all just the printer colors, like especially yellow plates. Sometimes you could barely see anything at all, but I just think it's interesting, that is pack inserted and it's like, wow, this was used to make all these other cards that I've looked at. I just think that's really cool.
Oh, they're
So
so awesome. And Lindsay and I both know one company that does occasionally have the printing plates included in the sets. And I was a little bit like you when I first heard that, like, why? They look so weird, but they are awfully cool, actually. That's actually what's the biggest demand that you have in your store? Like, is it sports? Is it non-sports? Is it a particular thing?
I think locally, the biggest demand we have is for baseball and football, just because with up in Tampa, we have the Buccaneers, recent Super Bowl champions. Tom Brady's back now. He was retired for a whole 39 days and now he's back. So that's going to be very exciting this year. And then with the Rays and lots of hot rookies this year and last year for the Rays, a lot of local fans are really like when Series 1 came out, we had people waiting outside the shop before we even opened, just excited to get their hands on some new baseball cards.
Seriously.
But online, just because I think people see how genuine I am about my love for Star Wars. Star Wars is our biggest, people watch those videos the most. The, release day openings, people tune in for those, usually the most amount of people watching. And that's what we sell. When we have it, it goes so quickly online just because I feel like I've been able to spread the love of Star Wars cards. Like I said, a lot of people just show up to the channel saying they didn't know that this was a thing. They've only heard of sports cards or only heard of like Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon. So it is oddly different how the demand is locally is so much different than the online demand because people do like sports online as well. But whenever a new Star Wars product comes out, so I feel like online it can't compare to, people wanting sports. It's just so much more of a demand for it.
I've heard Target horror stories where people have been fighting over packs of Star Wars cards, and I don't know if it's because they can flip the sketches for so much or what, but I think they just immediately sell out, don't they, at the moment?
Yeah, I've seen it got pretty bad for about a year ago where I remember Target implemented the policy where there was a certain day of the week that they're like, we're only going to put out cards this day and you guys got to wait outside and behave and then queue up in line to get to buy. And I know I've seen a lot of like videos, especially like Target and a lot of Walmart as well, people, fighting each other for like football boxes and whatnot, but it really has spread to Star Wars. I remember, when Holocron came out, I was able to find some Holocron blaster boxes at Target. I have still not seen any battle plans at all anywhere in the wild. It is difficult to find Star Wars now, whereas it used to just be kind of what was left over, but people are starting to see that, oh, this is actually really cool stuff. Not only can you find really cool autographs, but, the sketch cards bring something unique to the product that we don't usually see in sports. And it's just a lot of fun. People think like, oh, movie cards, but it's, what's wrong with really enjoying a series? It's like, it's when you collect sports, for me, it's like, okay, I don't do the sports either. For me, it's very similar, whether I'm collecting a character or a player. Yes, one's real, but for me, I have the same attachment to it. So I think people are seeing that, non-sports aren't like the leftover, like second tier cards. They're really cool. And a lot of people genuinely do like them. So it's starting to get hard to find all kinds of cards, non-sports and otherwise.
That's an interesting perspective to hear it from someone who actually works in a store with cards. It's something that I personally don't hear very often, what it's like for you guys to actually sell what we work on. In fact, that's really that's really interesting. What do you think the future might be for cards? Do you have any ideas? You're right in it. So like, what would you like to see in the future for cards?
The future for cards, I think, is very strong. I know there's a lot of people thinking that, oh, it's all just pump and dump. People are just, they're just trying to convince other people to buy it, but no one actually wants it. There is one game that I think might be victim of that called MetaZoo that I'm not crazy about. But other stuff, like I know right now Marvel is crazily expensive with PMGs and all kinds of low numbered parallels going insane. And I think some of those prices will soften. I don't know how much though, because sports, has always been really popular. And then people getting priced out of sports cards are turning to other avenues and starting to be like, oh, that's really cool. There's, comic book cards, there's Marvel movie cards, Star Wars, TV show cards, movies, all kinds of stuff. Like even I noticed on the solicit for Star Wars Finest, there's going to be an insert set about the High Republic book series. So you can have people that like, oh, I like the books and now there's cards of them. Let me check that out. It's a lot of ways to pull people who enjoy these properties into a collectible and then build the community about, just cards. I have people that like collect action figures that are like, oh, these cards are neat. Let me try them out. And they really enjoy it. So I think a lot of people just want to believe that the hobby is going to settle down and prices are going to go back to the way it was a couple years ago. But I think there is just over the past couple of years, people staying at home want to get in touch with stuff that makes them happy and not just worry about, obviously we still have to worry about going to work and doing all kinds of stuff, but finding an outlet for stuff that they do enjoy, and I turned from like larger collectibles to cards as well, also because cards are much easier to store than a lot of this up here. It's just the actual size of it makes it a bit feel more manageable. So I think people like it for that aspect as well. And I think some stuff will calm down. I think there is, of course, as we always see people saying, invest in PMGs and stuff like that. But I do think there's a lot of people that got into the hobby because they like it and they'll be here to stay. I don't see those people going away.
Okay.
So I don't see like this big bubble pop that people have been talking about it for a few years and it still hasn't happened. So I think it will soften a bit because people's minds change, something's hot for a couple years and then it kind of goes away. But I think there's going to be a lot of people that stay with it and continue to enjoy cards.
When you sell, do you sell internationally as well? Or is it just within the US?
For the box openings that I do on YouTube, the way the website's set up is that I have to put flat shipping prices for everything. So I'm able to put like a flat rate for Canada, but I could at some point go and calculate what it would cost approximately for like each different country to put that in. But for now, from there, it's just the US and Canada. And then on eBay, we do sell internationally, but it's through the global shipping. So eBay sets the prices for shipping. And that's always like, even like sometimes I look at cards from Canada and it's like $24 shipping. And it's like, but so it is up there, but we tend to sell more so within the United States. But actually a lot of upper deck singles for Marvel and hockey tend to go overseas, is what I've noticed through the global shipping. Whereas Star Wars and like football, baseball tend to stay within the United States. Okay. Not sure if it's just there's not as many people opening these kinds of products as often, but like we noticed a lot when we were opening up recent upper deck releases, MVP and O-Pee-Chee, which people tend not to rip a lot of just because it's considered a lower end product, but there is some still really cool stuff. People still want to build their sets. People still want different parallels, collector teams. So that actually sold really well for us. And a lot of it was, I'm assuming, to Canada based on the names, okay. But a lot of global shipping program through there. It doesn't tell me where the people are from in particular, but I can try and guess based off of the names of the people who purchase the cards. So it's a yes and no for global. When we can, yes, but for the most part, it is just within the United States and Canada.
I've noticed a massive uptake in buyers from the East coming and getting that. There's tons of new card companies launching. They're all buying. I was just wondering if they were going for the licensed products as well as the small independent companies. But if you can't
noticed,
tell where buyers are from.
Sorry, I've noticed with actually a lot of the higher end Marvel products that they look like, based on the names, go to like China or Japan. So And I've noticed because I'm in the different groups, not only the Star Wars group, but I'm in the Marvel group on Facebook as well. And I noticed there's several people from Hong Kong and China in there. So, with larger high-end Marvel collections. So I do think there is going overseas, in all directions, but I have noticed because we've seen it before with back in 2018, we had a lot of World Cup soccer singles, and those would go a lot overseas, especially to that area. And I think Marvel is becoming very big and has been for a while. I always see like, Blockbuster, ticket sales and stuff overseas for the movies. So it makes sense that the card collectors over there are also turning to non-sports. But I'm curious because I wish I just had more details on where this stuff goes, but I do have to just guess based off of the names. So I could be making incorrect assumptions, but it definitely looks like, especially on Marvel Black Diamond in particular, all of our high-end autographs, the Chris Hemsworth, the Tom Holland, some of the really low numbered cards looked like they did go to Asia.
I think you're right about that. Some of us sketch card artists are getting more and more requests from some of the Eastern buyers, which is great, actually. Do you as a company support the smaller, the independent trading card companies? You have a lot of it, or?
For us, we tend to get from the main companies, even though it's not really a small company. I feel like the smallest company that we get from would be Rittenhouse, just because I feel like they're talked about the least, even though they do make a lot of really cool products. They get a lot of really cool licenses. They get a lot of cool signers. It seems like people tend to forget they exist a lot of times. And
yeah, their publicity company is maybe a little lacking in that department. I don't, like us, we don't hear that much from them. There may be a few of the artists that do, but I know I personally don't. But so you obviously stick with the really larger companies, Tops and Upper Deck and all of those. So you don't really have any from, for instance, RR Parks or Perna or others. I think there are others that are out there.
no, it usually also when we order, it's not so much. Occasionally we'll have people send us messages like, hey, I have this company. Usually it's like about like supplies, just because there's been an increase in demand for like top loaders, sleeves, and such like that. So people have started making their own and trying to market those. But when we order the cards, it tends to come from our distributors. So sometimes they'll carry new brands. Like what we have in store, I've never opened on the channel, but one of the unlicensed football companies that's popped up called Sage. So there has been some of the newer sports stuff, but we've never been like approached by any, small non-sports companies. It's just stuff that goes up with our distributors that sometimes like a new product pops up, we'll try it. Like this past year, there's a new TCG called Gate Ruler, which I'd never heard of before, but we ordered one box just to check it out and see what it was like. So I do try, like if I see something pop up that I've never seen before, I like to try and check it out. But
So you would be
also,
open to it? You would be open?
yeah, I'd be open to it. It's also with distributors too. It's weird. Like sometimes companies have licenses that they can only sell with certain distributors. Like there's some card games like Dragon Ball Super and Digimon that only one of the distributors we use is allowed to carry it. And it's just so in demand that we aren't able to get any. And then like Upper Deck only uses GTS and Southern. So our other distributor that we use, All Sports, we can't get any hockey or Marvel products from them because they don't carry Upper Deck. So it'd be cool if like every distributor could carry everything, but it reminds me of how licensed products of sports goes. Like anyone could make football cards, but at the moment, only Panini can put them in the team logos. So it seems like, only some distributors can carry some types of cards. And that's probably some of like, contracts, they can't carry certain things, like, but also probably some distributors are like, I don't want to try out this lesser known product. So I'm not sure even how we'd be able to get, like you're saying, the Parks cards, which I've seen online before. And I've seen some sketch artists post about work they've done for it, but I'm like, where do you guys find this stuff? So there's even products that I don't know much about or I've vaguely heard of, but I'm always trying to learn more. So I'm always open to learning about products just because I know there's really cool stuff out there. So,
okay.
That's awesome. I didn't realize distributors work like that. I didn't think they had ones they could do and ones they couldn't. And that was really interesting. I've forgotten what we're going to ask now.
What I had a question I wanted to ask. What do you think of the NFTs and all of that are coming up with cards?
NFTs with cards, it reminds me of like the digital apps, like the Tops when they had the WWE app, which they shut down, but also like they have the Star Wars card trader. Tops also, I've seen some pictures apparently as like a Marvel card trader as well. And NFTs, like some of them I feel make sense, some of them don't. Like I don't understand the crazy expensive monkey ones that there's always the jokes, be like, why would you buy it when you could just right click, save the picture? And like stuff where like it's crazy expensive. I do side-eyed it. I'm like, that seems kind of suspicious. Like, why is stuff like that so expensive? But I know for a couple of years, Panini's been doing like the Top Shot basketball, which is, like, and to my understanding, like the card traders, but they do have that NFT element that shows like proof of ownership. And, it's more than just a digital card that says, hey, this is yours. There's some way to check that it's actually yours. And there's always different kinds of stuff. I feel like I wish I knew more about NFTs just because I know there's always, a lot of environmental concerns with that. And I completely understand it. But also we collect a lot of cardboard and, sets where it's like a 600 card sets where, people are only looking for autographs, not so much the base cards. That seems like it's a lot of waste too. So I don't want to jump on the train that it's horrible. I don't understand crypto at all. So for something to also use like blockchain technology, I'm like, I just don't get it. I can see the
I'm
appeal.
not the only one.
Yeah, like I could see the appeal. Like actually, the Hits app, which was I have a segment on the channel, See It to Believe It, with like highlight pulls that I clip out, I share with people. There is an app with Sports Card Investor and like our channel and some other channels that put moments like that into an app, and they're originally going to be made as NFTs to sell. And it's like, that's cool. It's channel moments, but what is the demand really for people wanting to buy a video of pulling a card that may or may not even be your card? So they moved away from that and is just making it to just showing off these really cool pulls as an app. But, that was tried with NFTs. And it's like, I thought that was kind of neat, I guess, as like a way of like channel memorabilia, but a lot of people didn't see it that way. So they moved away from that. But when I was looking at that platform, I saw like a lot of digital artists selling their art as NFTs. And I thought that was cool. As I know some people just steal art and then make it into NFTs. But it also seemed like there was this one page I was looking at where it's like a bunch of like little penguin drawings. I was like, those are cute. I think it's an interesting way for, artists that do maybe just purely digital instead of traditional art for a way to just kind of market their work. Because if you buy it, because I've commissioned back when I was in college, like video game artwork, from a digital artist. And it's like, you have it, they made it for you, but they can share it with anybody. What really makes yours special other than the fact that you knew that you requested it? And that is an outlet to give it some sort of rarity, as weirdly as it sounds. But I'm interested to see where it'll go, because I didn't think crypto was real, but crypto has been here for a while. So NFTs, we'll just have to see what happens, I suppose. So I do feel like I need to learn more about it. I don't really understand it, but I could see it being cool. Some stuff to me makes sense. Some stuff doesn't, but I don't know.
10 years ago when me and my friends were laughing about Bitcoin and going, oh, shall we buy some? And then we didn't. And there you go.
Now you're regretting that you didn't.
Oh, dear.
Well, we're coming down to the end of the time that we're having with you, Ali. I want to say thank you. Lindsay, do you have any questions before we say goodbye?
I don't. It's been a really, really interesting. So many things I didn't know about.
This is the first time
we never see that side of the business, do we? We never see from shop to buyer or anything like that. So it's been really interesting. Thank you for coming to talk to us.
Yeah,
thank you so much for having. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, no, please. I'm the one who just never stops talking.
I really appreciate you two having me. It was a lot of fun. And so I really had a good time, and I'm glad that you two had fun as well. And hopefully everyone out there enjoyed it too.
Hopefully too, because it really is interesting to hear a point of view from someone who actually works in the store, which is something I've never had the chance to talk to. Someone like you, it gives a slightly different viewpoint on the whole thing and helps the rest of us understand a little bit why companies make the decisions they do, why trading card shops order what they do, and what you'd actually like. And I'm actually kind of surprised to know that you're open to maybe some new ideas and stuff like that, or new sets, or smaller companies. You're flexible. So that's good to know. Thank you so much for having joined us. Where can people find you?
People can find me at youtube.com/titancards, TITAN, and then cards. Also have some social media as well, but that is the main channel where I do, all the openings, product previews, different kinds of crazy cosplay live streams, opening Star Wars product. So it's a fun time, and try to check out a lot of products, have a lot of variety, and just see what's out there. So I think anyone that tunes in could find a product they enjoy there, whether it's trading cards, sports cards, non-sports, or a mix of all of the above.
And we have watched a few of your videos, and can certainly say we really hope everyone goes over there and puts up your subscriber number even more. Congratulations on the success of your YouTube. So I'll say thank you and goodbye.
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to say, obviously, in the future, if you want any artists to talk to, I'm sure me and Ingrid are.
Yep, we're here.
So if you do get around to that.
Awesome.
So much.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Bye-bye.